Our next presentation will be from Link3D. Our own Vishal Singh will be talking on advances in additive manufacturing automation and the impact of standardization. Vishal Singh is a technology leader and computer scientist with 18 plus years of combined research and product development experience. He has led the development of several products in both enterprise and startup environments, and has authored several US-approved patents and scholarly papers for leading conferences. Presently, Vishal is co-founder and CTO at Link3D, an additive manufacturing workflow and MES software startup. At Link3D, Vishal leads product vision, roadmap, product strategy, and R&D. Vishal and his team strive to digitally transform companies and organizations through the use of additive manufacturing and 3D printing. Welcome, Vishal.
Thank you, Andrea. Shane is typing, Vishal is ninja, and he's making me laugh here. All right, I'm going to share my screen.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'll make sure it works before I leave you.
Can you see my screen?
Wonderful. Thanks, Vishal.
Great. Thank you, Andrea. So today I will be talking about advances in additive manufacturing automation and the impact of standardization. So Andrea did a very long intro, so I'll skip that. A little bit about Link3D. Link3D's vision is to enable the scale of digital manufacturing. It acts as an operating system for the additive manufacturing factory floor with its core application, including the manufacturing execution system and the quality management system. Link3D provides a single view of organizations' manufacturing assets, offers planning, simulation, and data management tools required to optimize, continuously improve, and scale the manufacturing environments. So with that, let's go into, and that was important because Link3D's one of the visions is to enable standardization and automation. So let's get into why do we care about standardization? Why do we care about automation? The purpose is to ensure production repeatability, meet customer requirements, reduce supply chain risks, and meet efficiency. However, the current situation is the technology is emerging, the software systems are siloed, and our goal is to ensure consistency and meet industry-specific regulatory needs. And this journey from where we are today to where we want to be is possible by standards. Standards enforce automation, and automation drive standards. And what are the areas where we need this? We need this in design, in part production, quality measurement, and quality prediction. This is the maturity model slide which we use at Link3D. We group organizations into different maturity levels, starting from reactive to ending with predictive. Organizations can be at reactive, informed, managed, automated, or predictive stages, depending upon where they are with their journey. Are they currently validating AM? Are they building the AM infrastructure? Have they started scaling? Are they using connected systems? And so on, depending upon what kind of software, hardware, what kind of maximum ROI they are deriving. This kind of aligns with what the Industry 4.0 vision is, and is very tightly coupled with how automation can help organizations drive up the maturity model. Link3D's vision is to help organizations grow up this model. Let's take a look at what are the technologies which are enabling this Industry 4.0 from a standardization point of view. Advancements in vision, imaging, recognition, robotics, industrial IoT, machine learning and neural network, supply chain optimization, and so on are helping us achieve Industry 4.0 vision, which is eventually leading to more standardization, more quality parts, and so on. However, the current situation is that there is a lot of manual steps involved in additive manufacturing. There is high inspection effort, there is multiple file conversions, there is lack of IP protection, ad hoc documentation, disconnected or siloed software, multiple engineering tools, manual post-processing, very high cost of achieving certifications or missing process certifications, and poor repeatability. And all of which is kind of preventing the disruptive growth of what additive manufacturing has to offer. And automation and standardization will help overcome some of that. We believe that there are 4 pillars to enable automation for standardization. The first pillar is unified data model. As we know, in additive manufacturing, from design to delivery, there are different subsystems through which the part is traveling. Build preparation, CAD design stage, manufacturing stage, post-processing stage. And all of that data needs to be interconnected with a digital thread, like a connected digital thread. That kind of brings us into standardization of data. Not only that data needs to be interconnected, like the parts have to be connected to order with job with shipment, but also that data need to be standardized into some kind of canonical format. For example, if it is an FDM data, the data that you want to be collecting at scheduling stage versus build preparation stage is going to be different, and there has to be a standardized canonical format representation of that data. The third pillar is connectivity, which implies bidirectional connectivity with both hardware and software to achieve the full potential of automation. And the final pillar is algorithms, or advancement in algorithms, or capabilities to compute these algorithms on browser or on compute clusters at a very fast pace, so that we can mimic what's going on in the production realm with what's going on in the design or digital realm. Another way to look at these 4 pillars is to look at the automation workflow. There are 4 segments to it: pre-production data management, build data management, sending these jobs to production, and post-production management. In the pre-production management, typically a customer, a designer is submitting a work order or an order for requesting a code or printing a prototype or so on. This typically goes through file conversion, printability analysis, wall thickness analysis, and so on. In certain cases, the file might need to be converted, repaired, mesh used, and so on. Finally, that information needs to be versioned in a MES software like Link3D, because now we are looking at the production data repository, not necessarily a design data repository, which is PLM or so on. The next step from this is creating batching of builds, which can further be achieved by integration with build preparation software, and that information can be further stored in the same repository. The next step of the operation is sending these batch builds or jobs that we have created onto the machines. Several machine makers are today offering APIs through which this job data could be sent automatically or could be manually transferred to these machines. Depending upon if there are issues during production, the user could be alerted about such an issue. Moreover, such data can be collected from machine, which can be linked back into the scheduling or the quality data for traceability purposes. The final stage is the post-production management, which is once the job has been completed on the machine, a finite state machine is triggered, which is an automata which can further initiate support removal, finishing, or post-processing stages. Several post-processing equipment manufacturers are also providing advanced APIs for data collection and achieving this kind of automation. So let's get into the first pillar, which is the unified data modeling. In this slide, we are showing the unified data modeling in 2 different kind of divisions. One is pre-production and one is production and post-production. The pre-production is the digital realm where the part is going through design or iterations for generative design, like build preparations, printability analysis, thermal simulation, and so on. You could almost imagine that this process would have generated a lot of potential outcomes, and one of the outcomes was chosen. And there is a feedback loop coming from manufacturing to this stage, leading to this process to learn something for the next iteration. And that is equally true for printability, thermal simulation, and the nesting orientations, because all of that in some way control the final output or efficacy of efficiency of the output. Now, without having this data being collected in a structured way and this data being connected throughout the digital thread, such a feedback loop is not possible to be created. So what we mean by unified data model is an ability to link the data that is connected across various stages of production in a unified way, which could be queried almost like a graph data structure. And next topic is standardization of data, which is the next pillar. There are several standard bodies which are helping to standardize the additive data. They're coming up with terminology, data dictionaries, and so on. This is a very, not to say like, it's a very complicated space because of there are lots of types of materials, lot of type of processes and equipments, and a lot of standards around finished parts. So navigating this ecosystem itself is complicated. Just to show an example, the standard bodies are working towards design guidelines, towards terminology, towards data formats and testing methods, qualification guidance, system performance, safety and reliability protocols, and finally, connectivity protocols. And here we can see the material. There are different kinds of materials: metal powder material versus polymer powder, filament, ceramic, and resins, so on. Depending upon each category of material, the specifications go deeper into what kind of alloys we are using, and that further go deeper into what kind of vertical or industry segment that particular standard is applicable to. In a standard which is applicable to medical, for example, oil and gas might not be applicable to medical, might not be applicable to aerospace, and so on. So the necessity of what data needs to be captured, what specification needs to be met, is governed differently and needs to be managed. The goal of an MES software here is to hide this complexity and enable this to be done in a more efficient way. And that's what an MES software like Link3D, we are striving hard to make that happen, that customers are provided with a pre-packaged way of collecting this kind of data and easily meeting this kind of certifications. There are several standard bodies like ASTM, ASME, FDA, AS9100. All of these standard bodies are helping build these standards so that these parts can be produced in repeatable and consistent way, meeting the guidelines. And as I mentioned, the goal of the software is not necessarily to build the standard, but to achieve the standards by providing a data collection framework which would allow collecting of this canonical data and this unified data and presenting this for the purposes of audit and certification. The third pillar, and probably one of my favorites, is connectivity, where we focus on hardware and software connectivity to enable automation. On this slide, we can see as the part is traveling from design to delivery, going through different modules like work order management to quoting, production planning, scheduling, downstream management, analytics. At different stages, it needs to go into, the information needs to go into different software. During the quoting stage, it needs to go into build preparation software. During the build preparation stage, also it needs to go here. During the machine connectivity, during the production stage, it needs to go into the machine connectivity software and interact with the queue management. And for the quality management, it also needs to go back into machine and post-processing equipment. So there is a bidirectional flow of data for the standardization and quality and traceability purposes, but also there is bidirectional flow of data to enable automation and reduce manual efforts or risk of manual failures. Here, we're trying to showcase different protocol drivers that several machine makers are promoting today. And there is a need for standardization as well, not only at the protocol level, but also at the semantic data which each one of the machine makers today are exposing. The good news is many machine makers today are providing this, which was not true 1 or 2 years back. And some of them are providing using HTTP and several other protocols. The work that needs to be done is how could we reduce the effort that is needed for this data to be consumed by a software like an ERP or an MES. And that's where standard bodies can come and create certain kind of standards that certain sets of data needs to be available for certain processes. This is where we at Link3D are also providing semantic data analysis for several of this data coming from different machines. This is an example of how an MES software could interact with a build preparation software to achieve automation. I'm going to very quickly go into a small demo. So here it's a Link3D dashboard where you can see the order. The order has these parts here, which can be automatically exported into NetFab software. And on the NetFab software, we can show that the part can be, several operations could happen, like cutting, mirroring, inverting, file repair, and so on. And it is saved back. As it is saved, Link3D acts as the data repository or the GitHub of the production floor. And that data shows up automatically for the application engineer or for the operators or the engineers on the factory floor. As you make changes on your build prep, you don't have to manually upload it, and these changes automatically reflect on your MES software, such that you can achieve full traceability and version control, which reduces a lot of manual effort, chances of errors, tracking files on disk, failed builds, wrong builds, using wrong files, and so on. Furthermore, when we nest them, this nesting, which can be done on a cloud machine, in a highly computationally intensive cloud machine, this nesting can be automatically exported into the build preparation software, and toolpath could be generated. In this case, the user is exporting it into the NetFab software, and this order automatically shows up, and the build data automatically shows up here, and the user can visualize here. And there are several benefits to it. And the final pillar is the advanced algorithms. The idea here is, from the digital realm of production, where the product is virtual, it's at the CAD level, STL or 3MF level, there is a feedback loop of continuous improvement where the virtual or the digital realm is providing data to the actual production, for example, in orientation, and the feedback from the production, which is like a surface roughness, comes back into the digital realm. So what is happening in the digital realm is support generation, orientation determination. What is happening in the production realm is the actual production, which is the recoder directions and sensor levels, and so on. The idea is, by having a tighter feedback loop here and mimicking what is happening here, this space can actually shorten the production cycle. And by having a tighter coupling between the two, insights can be used for more efficient production. As an example of advancement in algorithms, there could be automated support generation. There could be FEA and CFD-based analysis for part printability. There could be a sensor analysis for in situ monitoring. There could be capacity planning and scheduling simulations to understand what your capacity needs and an ideal job placement situation is. And all of these algorithms can help achieve further efficiency on the factory floor. So going into the benefits of automation and standardization, an organization here, I'm going to do benefits beyond the standard known ones. An organization like TUVSUD, which is a certification which helps companies or organizations achieve certification, can, in this case, TUVSUD is helping an organization to achieve certification by helping them define what data they need to capture. But in order to truly do the certification, you need this data to be auditable. In order for this data to be auditable, the MES software needs to provide audit log, and an organization which is a certifying body need to be able to pull that data and verify that the organization is actually meeting the requirement of collecting that data. The second stage of this could be, actually, is this data meeting certain thresholds? And if thresholds are not met, which takes us into the quality management area, that this part is defective or this observation needs a non-conformance or so on. But the key is, today, if I have to perform an audit, I have to go through a lot of manual records and so on. But if this data is stored digitally in a structured format, an organization can pull this and help another organization get certified easily. Likewise, imagine a material company which is going through the process of material development, and they have goals of record keeping, traceability, process control, compliance, regulation, so on. And they want to use various ways of data collection, because the most important thing for them is to ensure the key data elements are collected, repeated for a pair of machine and material, for a certain customer, for a certain machine, for machine qualification, material qualification, and so on. And the goal of the software is to manage and mimic what is the canonical representation of data that needs to be collected, and what are the channels through which that data is stored, and such that this is available for the purposes of compliance and regulatory needs. So what's next? My belief is that for automation and standardization to further grow, there is a need for increased collaboration. The machine makers need to step up and share their know-how with the rest of the industry. There is a need to create common data dictionaries. Software and hardware provider need to have more open and collaborative environment and share their APIs, create API-friendly systems. There is a need for quality control automation, machine connectivity related standards, post-processing automation related standards. And finally, if the industry could come together and create open source data lakes of parameters and quality, it could help reduce the material development cycles and so on, and all of which could act as a catalyst to grow the additive manufacturing ecosystem in general, leading to discovery of further use cases and growth. So with that, I'd like to...
Good afternoon. Sorry that I couldn't get on to introduce you, Vishal. We do have a few questions, and we'll start with the first one. Many standards groups are developing their own standards, as you noted, and Link3D is enabling the connectivity. Do you see a future of aggregation of standards?
I believe so, that the future will have aggregation of standards, because this will simplify. This consolidation happened already in the space of telecom and others. There were several protocols: TCP, IP, HTTP, session initiation, connectivity. And then eventually all of the industry consolidated into one protocol. And that's going to happen in the additive manufacturing ecosystem as well.
Thank you. Does Link3D MES conform to ISO 10303 family of standards for data management and transfer?
So Link3D is working towards that. Our goal is, for every certification for us is like a package, right? So you install a package on your system and you can turn on that kind of certification. Everybody has a different data need. So somebody wants to comply with AS9100 versus the medical certifications. They have different data needs. So what we have created is a framework where we can define what data needs to be captured for that particular certification. And so it becomes almost like enable that package and you could do it. It's now a roadmap. It's not available in the way the question is asked, but it is possible to do that.
Thank you. Vishal, a lot of software companies like yours claim machine connectivity, but I have yet to see anything come out of this. Does Link3D have partners for connectivity? Have you actually done any?
We have done connectivity with OPC UA, with EOS machine connectivity. We have already established connectivity with MT Connect, which is a Stratasys, primarily Stratasys machines. The other ones are mainly following RESTful HTTP standard. Formlabs has open APIs where it's not directly machine, but you get the same data. And several others are privately doing it. So you will see something very soon, is what I can say right now.
Are you supporting other machine manufacturers to connect with your MES, not listed in your presentation?
Yes.
Priyesh asked WabTech Barnes Group previously, can the MES be linked to statistical software like SPSS or Minitab for design of experiments? Is there a better way of defining the process windows?
So Link3D by itself is not offering the SPC yet. Link3D has the QMS module, which is coming up very soon. The QMS module is more geared towards FMEA style dashboarding and more continuous improvement cycles, including non-conformances and kappa related management. In order for SPC, the data that an MES like Link3D is capturing needs to be exported into the SPC software. because this is where you want to start using your statistical process control algorithms and start figuring out your design of experiments. And the goal here is to minimize your search space in order to go from point A to point B, which is reduce your time to validate your hypothesis. So the short answer is yes, we could export that data to SPC. We currently don't offer the SPC within Link3D itself.
And a final question, certifying bodies like TUV, SUD, DNV, GL, and UL are getting more deeply ingrained in additive and driving certification programs. Can one MES application handle all three certifying body requirements, and how?
So the requirement of the certifying body is that there are certain process controls. So for example, AS9100 requires that if you have a traveler or a MOR, that has to be approved by a plant manager. If you have an NCR document, that has to be approved by a quality manager. There has to be training and safety compliance. If you're doing a laser powder-based DMLS, DMLM kind of part, these are the characteristics that you need to measure. So it's a guidance, and it needs to be audited and complied with. A software like Link3D, which is an MES software, will enable, because the goal of the MES here is to allow you to create your own recipes of data capture. So if we allow you to create your own recipes, which is now provided by your certifying body, such that the certifying body can pull this data and validate and cross-check, yes, they're following this, that basically achieves the purpose. So currently, the process that most companies do is they figure out these specs, they hire people who understand these specifications, they go through the certifying bodies, and the process is established. The role of MES in the future is going to be short circuit that learning, because that learning will be embedded in the software. So when the learning is embedded in the software, we'll just turn on, I want ISO XYZ tracking, or I want AS9100 tracking. It will automatically create the roles needed. It will automatically create the data packages for certain materials. There will be a software onboarding flow, but it will make that process much simpler.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.